to Downtown. I'm your host, Robbie Haigh. Thank you for being here with us. Today I'm speaking with Mathew Muratore, who is our state representative. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
My pleasure. So you've been doing this job for a little bit of time now, haven't you?
Yeah, I was first elected as the state representative for the 1st Plymouth district, which, as you know, includes almost all of Plymouth, not quite all of Plymouth, but almost all of it.
And we keep you busy.
Yeah, since 2014. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm in my 2nd term now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're going to continue.
Yeah, I'm actually, as of this taping tonight, I'm actually going to be announcing my re-election for next year, and I'm going to campaign for a year ahead of time now. Just get a little bit more jump on it, start knocking doors and start campaigning.
Very good.
So yeah.
Yeah, you hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Very good.
Really love it. It's a great job. It is
Isn't
a great
it
job.
wonderful?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you love it.
Yeah. I always tell people it's like being, as you know, as a selectman for 5 years before becoming state rep, and I'm very fortunate that this job as a state rep is only for the town of Plymouth. And so I always say to people that I'm like a 6th selectman. I'm an extension of the selectman. I still work for them and the town and the town manager. So
yeah. What I love about, I saw you a couple of weeks ago at the legislative breakfast, and it's just the way everyone gets along so well.
Yeah.
If only they could do that for the country.
Yeah, everywhere.
You know?
Yeah, everywhere we go, it's the whole South Shore delegation. There's a mixture of Republicans and Democrats, including the senators and even the folks in the Cape too. There's somewhat of a mixture. But every time we go out places and we're doing a legislative breakfast or something, it's a great deal of respect that we have for one another, and we know the job is bigger than us. It's about the people we serve and the communities we serve and how we get things done working together. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. Right. The governor, on a weekly basis, meets with the Speaker of the House and the Senate President every Monday at 2 o'clock. And that's been done since he first got elected governor. And it's because that's how we get things done. It starts with their leadership, and that's what we take the lead from. We do the same thing. And you're absolutely right. It's too bad that Washington can't take the lead of what we do here on the South Shore.
It's a shame. It's embarrassing.
But
it really we don't want to talk about embarrassing.
I know.
We want to talk about. Tell us some of the committees you're on.
So I'm on the one I really lobbied to be on in both terms was the Joint Committee on Tourism, Arts, and Culture. Obviously, because of Plymouth being our #1 industry being tourism, and the Plymouth 400 coming up, et cetera. So I really enjoy the tourism, arts, and culture one, and living in downtown Plymouth, the cultural community, how that's grown over the last few years, and everything that's going on. So I really enjoy that committee. I'm actually the ranking minority member of that committee, and I'm also on healthcare financing. As you know,
that's one.
Yeah, as you know, I'm a nursing home administrator. You and I worked together years ago, and I'm a nursing home administrator by trade, and have been for a couple of decades, almost 3 decades now. And so I really wanted to be on healthcare financing, and it's so timely because of everything that's going on in Washington and the state with healthcare and the rising costs. So I think I can bring my expertise to that committee. So I am on that committee as well. And the 3rd committee is the State Administration and Regulatory Oversight. And when I tell that to people, they say, well, what's that? And I always say, well, it's sort of a committee where they don't know where, there's like 5,000 or 6,000 bills that are filed every session. And most bills go into...
That number again?
Between 5,000 and 6,000 bills every session.
Wow.
Yeah. And the session started at the beginning of January 2017. So we're still working through all these bills. And there's about 16 or 18 committees that are set up, and all these bills go into certain committees. But some just don't have a place to go. So they go into the State Administration and Regulatory Oversight. One of the bigger things we did in the last couple of years was public records. We actually reformed the public records laws, which haven't been reformed since 1972.
Really?
And I was on the conference committee, 6-person conference committee, to reconcile that between the Senate and the House side. So we passed some legislation on that last session. And more will be coming on public records as well to make it more conducive to the age that we're living in with the computer age, the internet, and all that to get records a lot easier for people. So
very good.
Yeah.
Very good. change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Change is
absolutely,
good.
Absolutely. I'm also on a couple of advisory commissions that I've been appointed to. The Oceans Advisory Commission for the state, which is a fascinating commission with regard to, obviously the ocean and the fishermen and, everything that's going on out in the oceans and the climate change, et cetera. So I've been doing some work with that. And most recently was appointed to the Northeast Fire Protection Commission. And that's the whole New England area commission that actually oversees forest fires throughout Canada, the Northeast, and actually they've been helping out in California as well. Yeah. So we meet annually and go over policies and procedures and things like that. So.
Very good.
Yeah, so
You're
been
a busy
keeping busy.
man.
Yeah, been keeping busy. It's great.
Yeah. And are you still maintaining your nursing home license?
Oh, I do actually. Yeah, and I
Good for
still
you.
yeah, and I still I started a consulting company after I was elected state rep in 2014 because I knew I couldn't be a full-time nursing home administrator, but I still maintain my license and I still do consulting for nursing homes. Actually, presently now I've been doing some consulting on Martha's Vineyard. So I've been doing that, a day or two a week, sometimes, a weekend. So yeah, because, as you know, I love being, nursing home administrator and working with the elderly and, and it's a tough business. So I want to continue to do that. I've been able to train a couple of people over the last couple of years to be administrators. So I think we need more good nursing home administrators in the industry because as we know, the baby boomers are coming of age and by 2030, there's going to be a majority of the people are going to be over the age of 65. So,
Yeah.
So
As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, there are more people over the age of 65 than there are kids in school. Am I correct?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just done its turn. Wow.
Yeah.
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 Well, now seniors rule.
Exactly right. Yeah. And in my eyes, I always did. I mean, I think I told you before. I started as a 1977 as a dishwasher in a nursing home, and I've been working for 40 years, with nursing homes. And it's just the stories you get from elderly people and. It just having a great connection and the experiences they have, it's just always been fascinating to me over the years.
They've always been fascinating to me. They have better stories than many of my own friends when I was younger.
Yeah, right.
They're really.
Yeah. And they're very humble about it too, for the most part, so. Yeah.
So, what can you tell us that's happening new in the healthcare? We'll go. What's new is we don't know what we're doing yet. I think that's what's new because of everything that's going on in Washington. We don't know what direction Washington has taken. Yeah. We have not had at the state level many Healthcare Finance Committee meetings this year because we just don't know what the direction is going to be yet. Some of the things that we've heard out of Washington will not be beneficial for the Massachusetts. As you know, Massachusetts was under Romney Care, and that's how the federal healthcare laws changed. They actually mirrored Romney Care in Massachusetts. And so it's fine having it that way in Massachusetts, but if some of the legislation changes in healthcare in Washington, it's seriously going to affect Massachusetts to the tune of about $2 billion will be taken out of the Medicaid system over a certain period of time. And that could be detrimental to Massachusetts. Well, you and I have been part of this field for a while. We know that there's not enough money exchanging hands for nursing home patients.
No, and we were talking off air about this too. Nursing homes have actually declined in occupancy over the last 5 years or so. Nursing homes used to average about 95, 96% in the last 5 to 10 years, but now it's about 85%. Yeah. Some of it has to do with funding, but a lot of it has to do with home care. People living longer and wanting to stay at home longer, which is great.
Yeah, as it should be.
As it should be, absolutely. It's just the livings have come up throughout the whole Commonwealth. It's almost every year you hear about dozens or assisted livings that open up. And people that can afford that, go there. But I still think there's a gap in between there too. There should be more affordable assisted living. Right. I've said before, I believe in the next 4 to 5 years, good 40 or 50 nursing homes in Massachusetts will be closing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, right now there's about 420. But I've met with Secretary Bonner from Elder Affairs early on when she first came to the job, and we talked about how do we convert some of these older nursing homes that may be on the brink of closing into affordable assisted living. Because as you know, some of these, these 2-bedroom nursing homes or 3-bedroom nursing homes, they could be converted to, small apartments, with communal dining.
Sure.
And if you could, if people can afford, $2,500, $3,000 a month to live in an affordable assisted living rather than $8,000 to $10,000 in a regular one, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Isn't it?
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you're part of the 400 group.
Yeah, well, yeah, only because I'm a state rep I am, but we have, God, we've been going at that since I was elected 2010 as a selectman. We've been working on that, but it's really come to fruition now. We are almost, a little over 2 years out now. It's really come together nicely, I think. The state commission was appointed by the governor back in 2016, so there's a 21-person state commission. Actually, Sarah Peak is a state representative who's actually on there. I gave up that for her because I think Provincetown needs to be involved with that, and she represents the Provincetown area. So she's their state representative on there. Because I've been so involved with the Plymouth 400 as a selectman and now as a state rep, I didn't think I needed a seat as a state commissioner. Senator DiMacedo is actually on the state commission as well. Every secretariat is on the commission as well. And the governor felt this was important to actually do this state commission because this is a commemoration of the birth of our country, the birth of democracy.
It's not just Plymouth.
Yeah. So
and a lot of people forget that.
They do, yeah. And, people, when I first got elected to the State House, and I would go around and talk to my colleagues, other legislators, about Plymouth 400. A lot of them knew, some didn't. Everyone knows about it now. Yeah. But now it's trying to get the message across. This isn't just about Plymouth or Plymouth County. This is about the Commonwealth and how everyone will benefit from this economically as well. Because we're going to see people from all over the country, from all over the world coming here. Right. Which is why the State Commission was set up to help with the private fundraising for the 400th committee, which is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization. Right. So they're working in conjunction now, and it makes it more legitimate for larger companies out there that want to make a donation or want to make contributions to the Plymouth 400, want to advertise for it. Sure. Because they see that the state is taking this seriously, and now our next step is we're working with our federal partners to make a federal commission as well, to really make it a national event.
Very good. And we all know that all of the people who are coming are not going to fit into Plymouth. So it has to be,
they're going to go
the Cape they have to come on.
Absolutely. They're going to go all throughout the Commonwealth. And particularly the Cape is going to really be benefiting from this throughout the whole year.
Right.
And if we do it right, which I think we are, there's going to be economic benefits for years to come after that, too. It's just not going to be one and done. We're trying to do it so people will want to come back, or people that haven't been here but heard about it, come back to this region, come back to Plymouth or the Cape or the South Shore.
Good. Yeah. And you had mentioned too that there's a great deal of work being done in Plymouth to bring it up to 400.
Over the last, when Senator Therese Murray was a Senate President, she actually started this funding for the Plymouth 400. It was a couple $100,000 a year. And we've been able to somewhat maintain that over the years. So the state has given about $1 million in what I call cash for the Plymouth 400 to operate. And most recently, we had a $2 million mass work grants for the T-Wharf. As you know, it was in disrepair for decades. Right. That's all done now. That was $2 million. We were recently awarded in Plymouth $1.7 million for the Water Street Promenade, which is a $16 million project that the town of Plymouth and the town meeting members are going to be working on.
That is going to be accomplished?
Well, they're actually going to be there's going to be in December a special meeting of town meeting members to go over it again and what's involved with that and where some of the money's coming from. But there is $1.7 million from the state towards that $16 million project already. We're trying to get another $1.5 million to $2 million for seawall construction of that wall. Yeah. And that wall is very historical as well, so there's a lot of debate about the history of that wall and how we maintain that, so it does get expensive. DCR has committed to $1 million to redo the waterfront all next year, so you're going to see beautification all along the waterfront.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. They've already started a lot of it, so that's so to date, the state has committed somewhere over $6 to $7 million between infrastructure and cash for the Plymouth 400. And we're hoping that, and that will continue over the next couple of years. There'll be more to come. And I believe that, that the federal government's seeing that they'll be putting some money in as well. But again, a lot of it has to be a private-public partnership. So we're hoping that the private companies will see this as well and be able to put their money into it as well and see the benefits for them.
Sure. And with the car licenses, that's going well.
Yeah, the license plates. I just heard recently that they made about over $100,000 and still growing in those license plates. Yeah.
And they're working on stamps and so on.
Yeah, there's supposed to be there's a bill filed, I think, in federal legislation for a commemorative stamp for that year. They only do 2 a year, so the competition is a little fierce. But I think we feel we got a good shot at it for what's happening.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, and may it continue, which shouldn't just be done for the 400, the 400 years. We need to keep our towns and cities up to par.
Absolutely, yeah. I think because of like the 400, though, I think it brings a lot more attention to it. But I think this administration, with the Baker-Polito administration, they really have been going to every single town in the Commonwealth and looking at that. What are priorities? And they're asking the cities and towns, what are your priorities? What do you need more funding for to help get kick-started? And they, both of them being selectmen, myself being a selectman, they know what it's like to be a selectman and how funding from the state is very important to help kick off some of this stuff, to bring back cities and towns that need to be brought back.
To start at the bottom, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so glad I did. I'm glad I started as a finance committee person and being on the Council on Aging Board of Directors and kind of working my way up to selectmen, and then it brings a lot of experience to what I'm doing.
It's interesting how everything goes. Like, for instance, the Councils on Aging, when people like yourself are part of the boards and the groups.
Yeah. And I'm proud. Ever since I've been a state rep, every year we voted for an increase in the Council on Aging too. Which, again, as we talked earlier, the baby boomers are aging, and Council on Aging is booming, so we need to be able to fund them.
Yeah.
And
what better place for the money to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
Than to the greatest percentage of people who put their tax dollars out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
So, Mathew Muratore, before we let you go, we want to hear a little bit about the Pilgrim Energy plant.
I thought I'd get out of here without talking about that.
No. Wouldn't have you.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's a good topic.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
as
especially people on the Cape,
Absolutely.
The downwinders are a tough group.
Oh yeah, sure. And what people don't realize either, I live 5 minutes from the Sagamore Bridge, so I'm very close to the Cape. So we go to the Cape an awful lot. So,
sure.
But we're all sensitive to the power plant. Unfortunately, it's one of the third worst power plants in the country. But with that, it's a status. Yeah, but it also there's a blessing behind it too. I think because it's the third worst, there is folks from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission on site. 3 folks on site. Most don't only have 1. This has 3 folks on site, and they've been monitoring it for the last couple of years now, and will continue to do that. As a legislator, we get periodic updates, usually on a quarterly basis, of what's happening in the plant. What's happening with the NRC, what's happening with findings, et cetera. As you know, the ratings are 1 through 5. They're number 4, 5 being the worst. If they're at a 5 rating, they would be closed by now. But if they're at a 4, their goal before they shut down is to be at a 3. And what I always tell people too is that the people that actually work at the plant live on the Cape and live in Plymouth. And there's some great people that work there, and they want to do the right thing, and they do the right thing. And what our goal as legislators is actually to ensure that they have the resources that they need from Entergy by keeping on that pressure. The governor, as you know, appointed a decommissioning committee earlier this year, and there's I think there's 27 people on the commission. Sean Mullen from Plymouth is actually one of the chairs, as well as Kurt Schwartz, who's the head of MEMA, is a co-chair as well. And they've been doing some really great work. They've been having monthly meetings. They have now separated out into subcommittees. There are 5 separate subcommittees, but they have public hearings on a monthly basis. So there's a lot of input that people can give to them and that they can hear. And unfortunately, as we were talking off air, there's not a lot that the state can really do. It's actually the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, which is a separate commission in the government. Doesn't even report to the president.
Right.
But they have control over this, and they are listening to what we're saying. They do listen to the decommissioning meetings. They are present there. They have, or if they're not present, they actually get the minutes so they see what's happening. But we have their ear now, and we learned this lesson from Vermont Yankee. When they were closing, their government, the governor actually put together a decommissioning committee, and it really made a difference. So we learned from them some of their mistakes and some of the things they did in Vermont to ensure that we're doing the right things too, to be sure things are going to be shut down in the proper way.
So,
to be
and
sure
it will be shut down in 19.
Yeah, it will be shut
not?
down May 31st in 2019. Okay. In a recent briefing with the with Entergy folks, that they indicate that their goal is to get all the spent fuel rods out in a very short period of time and get them in dry cask storage, hopefully within a 5-year period, if not shorter than that.
Okay, so they will be continuing to work on it after the shutdown.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they still have to maintain the plant. They will still be. They have around 600 employees there now. After the plant shuts down, they'll still be close to 100 employees there. A lot of it has to be with security though, because it has to be secure. Until they don't own it anymore. But our goal as a state, and as legislators, to ensure that it's closed in a safe way. The spent fuel rods are taken out in a safe way and put in dry cask, and it gets down to virgin soil, so that all the buildings are taken down, et cetera. And that's what the goal, and that's what the money that's in the trust fund is for. Now people argue, is there enough money in that trust fund or not? I think there's close to $1 billion there now. It's going to be $1 billion, $1.2 billion. We're just not sure yet, but that's some of the things the decommissioning folks work on and advise the governor and legislators. So it's a good process.
And I thank you very much for tolerating.
Yeah.
It's good to get it out there, and people are very interested.
Yeah,
in
and I would encourage
happening.
people to go online, find out when the meetings are. I think they're the third Wednesdays out of the month. I'm not sure, but I think people should go to the meetings and they should give their input.
Okay, and I thank you again.
Yeah, sure, my pleasure.
Good. It's good to see you.
Great to see you as always.
And it's nice getting caught up on not little things. These are not by any means little, but we like to hear about what's new and happening around us. And good luck with your venture tonight, your kickoff.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope I have Lieutenant Governor coming to join us as our special guest, and so it should be good.
And I bet Vinny will be there.
Vinny will be there too. Absolutely, he's been a great partner in this whole thing. Yeah, great mentor.
Yeah. Great group of people.
Yeah, thanks.
It's good to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you out there for being here. You're watching Downtown. I'm your host, Robbie Haigh, and we've been talking to State Rep Mathew Muratore. And thank you so much, Matt, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Great pleasure.